So I'm absolutely delighted to be joined today by the lovely Leanne English, who is the founder and CEO of Mobilates, and she's going to tell us all about that in a minute. And she's a pain-free movement specialist. And the thing that I love most about Leanne is that her approach to movement and exercise is just so accessible for those of us that live with challenges. And she has this amazing ethos of being so warm and welcoming in the teaching that she does, and creating a space really at Mobilates that is just so empowering and welcoming and fun, where everybody belongs and where people can all achieve, within their situation and nobody gets left behind. I just love that so much. And she's also a really strong advocate for training other fitness instructors to work with people with chronic illness and disability and get more people who have chronic illness and disability involved as fitness trainers, which is something that I think is just amazing. So I'm so looking forward to this conversation today. Welcome, Leanne.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So tell us about your journey, what's led you to create Mobilates and what Mobilates is all about.
Okay, I will start from the beginning then. I've got a few health conditions. So I was born with something called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, hypermobility type. And with it, often people have lots of other comorbidities that come alongside it. So I've picked up POTS and endometriosis and lung conditions and gastro conditions along the way. I used to be a very active child, although I always had limitations and didn't know why. So often my parents would be going on National Trust walks and I just could not keep up with them. And I would want to lie in the car and wait for them to be finished so I could go home. And I'd just be wiped out for days and days after that. And I've always, as a young adult, I've always wanted to do exercise and really loved exercise. But I kept getting injured. So I'd begin to benefit and really feel like my body was getting better. And then I'd get ill or injured and I'd have to start from scratch and be worse than I was before. And it was just a constant this throughout my life. In my early 20s, I spent about 2 years in bed, being very, very poorly after a big crash from university. And it was a big physical, mental, emotional crash. There was no way I could keep going. And I used to get out of bed probably 1 or 2 hours maximum a day. And at that point, I was recommended to start using a wheelchair. But I couldn't use a wheelchair because every time I propelled forward, everything would dislocate. And at that point, I didn't even know I had EDS. So it was a constant battle with doctors to say, I'm feeling really poorly, I don't know what's up. And like a lot of people with EDS, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia and ME, and I wasn't taken seriously. So I was very lucky to find somebody in my early 30s who was a remedial massager or masseur. So she was very, very highly qualified. But she was also a Pilates instructor too. So she was supporting me with trying to get my body up and running again. And I was still pretty disabled at the time. So I was a bit like RoboCop. I had a lot of splints and supporting my body. And she was amazing. And she persuaded me to join her beginners class, beginners Pilates. And it was a light beginners class, but I still had to get upstairs to get to the class. So, and you can imagine if you've got POTS and all this pain and having to get up some stairs, and they were steep, narrow staircase. I remember it really well. That was a big challenge. And it was just a 6-week beginners class, supposed to be light, but I cried through every single session that I did, because it was so painful, it was so awful, but I just knew I had to do something to get myself better. And everyone kept saying, you're too fat, you need to lose weight, that'll help you feel better, you need to do more exercise. But actually, for someone like me, there's very, very big barriers in the way in order for you to be able to do that. Um, but I continued with Pilates and did benefit massively from it. So I'm really glad I persisted, and I ended up going twice a week consistently and started noticing things like I would get shape on my arms. I was like, wow, that's a muscle. That's amazing. And, just the pain started releasing a bit. It wasn't like a miracle overnight type thing, but it was a gradual, I am beginning to feel a little bit stronger and a little bit more able to do things, and life doesn't feel quite so hard. And that was literally down to Pilates. Although I did have the support of my parents too. And so, my parents are amazing, and they, took on the side of looking after me while I was trying to get myself better. And then I had this really weird dream. And it was an awake dream, but it was a dream of, if Pilates has done this for me, could there be a way that I could do this with Pilates to help other people like me? And I was just thinking, this is really ridiculous. I'm still pretty disabled. I still have to push myself through classes, and they were still light Pilates, but it was still really difficult. But the idea that potentially other people could benefit in the way that I did, but I could do it in a way that would be easier for them, was really exciting. And then randomly, and social media has this weird way of doing this, I had an advert come up on Facebook that said, would you like to become a Pilates instructor? And it was local. And I hadn't even researched it or anything, but it was like it was reading my mind. And I looked into it, and I remember coming down to speak to my parents to say, what do you think? Is this a really crazy idea? But they were supportive. And Mum even said, I will come with you and we'll go and talk to them about whether you would be able to get through the qualification. And so we went and chatted to them, and I explained what was going on, and I couldn't stand for long periods, I couldn't sit for long periods, I couldn't stay still, but I couldn't be, getting on and off the floor quickly. And I was worried about dislocating, and could I do it, considering I can't do most of the classical Pilates moves. And the lady there, they were amazing. They're in Newton Abbot, elite Pilates training, and I just love them. They said, we will work around you. We will make it happen. And Mum was so enamoured with it. She was like, I will do it with you. So we'll do the qualification together. And then the idea was that if ever I injured or wasn't up to teaching, I would be able to teach, but she could be the body demonstrating the moves. So we're going to do kind of a double act. And getting through that qualification is probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It was horrendously painful. It was just even trying to find ways of sitting and writing. And writing's a difficulty for me because I constantly dislocate thumbs. There were so many hurdles to try and get through it. And it wasn't like a classroom where you'd have a desk and a chair, and it was a Pilates studio where we were learning. So it was really tough. And also you had to be able to demonstrate that you could do the classical Pilates moves, but then I just adapted them for me. So they were never the classical, what you would expect, but they were done for me. So I got through it amazingly. And then I got through the qualification with my mum. Mum passed as well. And then I was really nervous about teaching. I was scared about it. I had massive imposter syndrome. Somebody in a bigger body, and you don't often see Pilates instructors or yoga teachers in bigger bodies, and also able-bodied. And I'm not, I wasn't able-bodied at the time, trying to show the benefits of Pilates, but I had a group of friends who supported me, and I taught them for free for months and months and months, and they were loving it and getting so much out of it. And then I had another daydream, and it came to me that I could call it Mobilates. So it's, Pilates for mobility. So if we give it a different name, then people wouldn't feel the pressure of having to be the perfect Pilates student. And they would hopefully know that is, it's going to be an adapted form of Pilates. So Mobilates was born, and I just started teaching in person. and it was great, and classes were filling up. And this is January 2020, and we all know what happened in March. So my classes were pretty much full. And then lockdown happened, and luckily I was one of the first to get online, and I started helping my fellow Pilates colleagues as well get online quickly. And it was just the best thing that ever happened to Mobilates. It meant that people could access classes online. They didn't have to spend all their time, all their energy getting out of the house, getting dressed, having a shower, parking, getting up steep stairs to get to a class. They were able to just switch on a computer, be in their pajamas, be as they are, and take part. So that's Mobilates. So we're a not-for-profit community interest company, and we teach accessible exercise for people with long-term health conditions and mobility issues and disabilities. And our classes range from Pilates to Qigong to yoga to fitness, and we have lots and lots of socials as well. And we also teach classes from bed, from the floor, from a chair or standing. And whichever class someone comes to, they can choose at the time what's going to work best for them. So we will say this is a bed Pilates class, but we might have some people who don't want to be lying down the whole time and might want to sit up. So we're basically adapting for the people that are in front of us. So it's a very, very powerful business. I'm really proud of it. And we also have teachers with lived experience teaching. So a lot of them are ex-members or members, and they managed to get their mobility up enough to be able to train to do what they wanted to do. And then obviously I've wrapped them up with open arms to come into Mobilates to teach. So it means that our members have people like them teaching them. So we really get it. We understand all the challenges of living with long-term health conditions and also trying to exercise and trying to find a way to reduce symptoms and live our lives.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for that, Leanne, for explaining that so beautifully. I mean, I think your story is just so inspirational, and I can imagine that, most people living with pain and illness and, facing challenges can totally recognize themselves in your story, and particularly that pattern of boom and bust, constantly on that roller coaster of trying to do all the right things, and it just doesn't seem to work because you get to a point and then you just crash. And people, we often go through that over and over and over again, and it becomes so disheartening and so difficult
Mm.
to feel this is supposed to help me. This is supposed to work for me. Why is it not working for me? Why am I not like everybody else? Is that feeling that we get, isn't it, quite
Yeah,
often? And just, being able, I think the health and wellness sector generally feels like quite a hostile, maybe inhospitable place for a lot of people, people who are living with pain, with fatigue, maybe who are in bigger bodies, maybe who are dyspraxic and,
mhm.
struggle with coordination. Lots of people feel that they don't see themselves in that world. They don't see themselves reflected in the fitness instructors that they come across. And it feels very, very unwelcoming. People do experience exactly what you have described there, fat shaming, feeling, that they don't fit in, feeling that they're not able to keep up,
Yeah,
all of those feelings. And it is so, so difficult for us to access safe, accessible exercise and movement. And it's such a shame because I know you're going to explain, it's so beneficial for us in so many ways. It's almost like this population of people are the people who could benefit most from that support and that movement. But there's a barrier there. There's so many barriers there.
there are loads. I mean, one of the biggest barriers I found was, or a lot of our members find, is that instructors are really scared of us. I mean, had
Mm.
people say to me, I'm not insured to have you in class. Or they will say, just do what you can do, or you can sit this one out. And that's very is it exclusionary? Is that a word?
Yeah, yeah, let's
Anti-inclusion.
make it a word.
I mean, in one class, the teacher was apprehensive about having me in the class, and unfortunately, that had to happen to be the class I dislocated a shoulder. So I must have really put her off, people like me exercising, and it was awful. But that is why we need more people with disabilities actually in the fitness industry. And there is a big movement, and I'm involved in that movement to make this happen because it really does need to happen. So
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
Oh, well done. Round of applause. Yes, I'm so pleased to hear that that is happening and that movement is underway because, as you say, it's so necessary. And you're totally right. I think one of the issues I feel the same as a health coach, the teaching that we're given is not to deal with people who have these illnesses and difficulties. It's very, this is how you work with someone who is able-bodied and who, can do all of these exercises. And people aren't trained in how to feel confident working with someone who has hypermobility, chronic pain, lots of issues. It's not something that's within their comfort zone. And so it is only really the people who have that lived experience who can truly know how to adapt classes for different people. And just sitting out, um, it feels as like you're being singled out, doesn't it? As you
Mm,
know, it makes you feel like you're different and you're other. I know
yeah,
I've been to lots of exercise classes and been told, oh, just don't do this bit. And I sort of sat there feeling like I was abnormal in some way and that, I couldn't do this. And it's a horrible feeling.
yeah.
So
It's a
I,
defeatist feeling. It makes you feel defeated.
oh,
It's
yes.
horrible.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a bit. I mean, you've alluded there to the fact that Pilates has been life-changing for you and that it helped you so much. How does Pilates help people with chronic illness? What is it about Pilates that works in the body that helps us with pain and
Well, so there's two different things. There's Mobilates and Pilates. So
yeah.
talk about Pilates first of all. So Pilates is amazing because it helps us strengthen. So it helps us strengthen all of our limbs, not just the core muscles. And lots of people talk about how you need to have a strong core. It's about being able to work all your joints and have stronger joints in order to be able to be more functional. It helps you with flexibility. So, should you be getting stiff, it helps you get your joints a bit more juicy and supple. It helps you move with control. So, people prone to accidents, it's really useful for that. So, you're a bit more aware of your body and how you move it, and you're not kind of flinging yourself around all over the place. And also, Pilates is amazing for balance. So, in Mobilates, I call it my accident prevention plan. And it's where we're working on your balance, your coordination, your proprioception. So, getting to know and become aware of where your body is in space. It's enhancing all of those things. So, in future, hopefully, there's less chance of you getting injured. In terms of Mobilates, we are trying to break down the barriers of exercise. So we do that through Pilates moves, physio moves, yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong. Look, everything's kind of incorporated into the classes that we do, and we take all the best bits. Um, so what we're trying to do, or what we are doing, is we're teaching people to be able to move with less fear, so they can appreciate what their bodies can do. And we are celebrating that all the time. And every class that we always finish with gratitude to our bodies for getting us through the class. And Mobilates encourages rest, and it encourages people to do a little bit and see how their body responds, maybe do a little bit more, or at that point they might want to leave because they've had enough. So we're teaching people to become more aware of how their bodies are feeling, because a lot of us have kind of cut ourselves off because we've got this relationship with our body where it's let us down so many times that we're kind of dissociating ourselves from our body, whereas we're trying to enable people to get back in touch with their bodies and really listen to it so that we're not going through this boom or bust. And we'll still have these nice waves, but hopefully they're gently going up in time. So yeah, moving without pain, unlearning habits. So people may have been taught to activate their core to do things, but then it ends up with a lot of people having issues with hypertonic pelvic floor muscles or bracing all the time. And then that can lead to disordered breathing. It can lead to not moving as fluidly as you need to. That can even lead to injury as well. So there's lots of elements of what we're trying to do in what we are doing. I keep saying trying, but we are doing it in Mobilates. And it's fun. So I keep saying it. We are making the classes fun so people actually enjoy coming, because it's really hard if you've got no energy and if you've had a terrible night, or some of our members can work. So if you've got through a day of work and then you're feeling like you have got to go and do your exercise, actually what we're going with is that sense of community, that sense of let's do this together, and we're going to socially get together and do some movement and enjoy it. And yeah, there's a lot of laughter in Mobilates too, which is very healing.
Absolutely, that is medicine in itself, isn't it? That idea of community and social connection, as we've just said, that is not something that a lot of us maybe felt going to the gym or other exercise classes and maybe felt a bit excluded, a bit on the edge. It's just lovely that you're creating that safe and welcoming space for people to feel that it's okay to listen to their bodies and say, actually, this is enough for me. And it's so important. I love that you're doing that, because I think conventional exercise regimes, there's set numbers. You've got to do 50 reps, 20 reps, give me 10 more, and that's just it's not the way our bodies work, is it? It's so important for us to think, I've done one rep and that's enough for me today, because that's all my body can handle. And to know that it's okay to say, just a little bit of movement, and even that is still beneficial. I think we feel as well that, if we haven't done the 50 reps, there's no point in doing any if we can't do it all. But
Yeah.
actually, just doing one or two small movements every day within your capacity, that has benefit, doesn't it?
Yeah. And from my perspective, if yesterday you did nothing and today you've done one move, you're 100% improved on the day before, and you can really build that. But I also don't want people to think that they've got to keep trying and getting better all the time, because actually that puts a lot of pressure on you too. So we're constantly talking to people about doing what feels good. So you're nurturing your body with exercise. You're not beasting it. You're not punishing it for eating that cream cake. Any of that. It's all about, because cream cakes are really nurturing too.
Exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I think that's so key, is that it's non-linear, isn't it? With
Mm.
our bodies, it's listening, that listening to your body. And yesterday you might have done 20 reps, and today maybe you're only going to do one. And that's okay. It's absolutely fine to listen to your body and do whatever you feel is right for you on that day as you are, and to be okay with that, and for everyone around you to celebrate that and be okay with it, and not say, well, you're failing today because you didn't do as many as you did yesterday. We get stuck in that mindset, which is such a block, isn't it? It's such a barrier for us, because we are up and down, and it's a different body every day, isn't it, that we've got to
Yeah.
get to know and listen to. But I mean, it fascinates me. There's so much um, about movement that, until I got involved in this and went on my own health journey, I had no idea. I just thought exercise wasn't for me, and that, I was in a similar position, not, built for exercise. But now, I understand that it's doing so much more than, just a sport, just being, enjoying doing the movement. I thought, well, I don't do enjoy it, so I don't want to do it. But the detox, the lymphatic drainage that you're helping with just a little bit of movement, even the gut microbiome. There's studies that show that movement and exercise is helping for that. So even if you feel that, maybe you're not an exercise person, just knowing that it has all these benefits that you've just described is it is a way of nurturing your body rather than punishing it. That old idea of, pushing through the pain and doing, it's not. This
Yeah.
is more about nurturing your body, which is a lovely way of looking at it. Absolutely. So we've talked quite a lot about the benefits of exercise generally for people with health conditions. Is there anything you want to add to that? Is there something that we haven't touched on?
There's so much. There's so much I could talk about. I mean,
Please
so
do.
if I was talking to a load of people who have hypermobility or EDS, we would be talking about how you could learn to work within your range of movement, your safe range of movement, and learning how not to hyperextend, how not to push yourself so far that you're going to make yourself poorly. If I'm talking to POTS people, it would be about strengthening the legs so that your blood is better able to keep up with your changes in posture, and how to move in a way that doesn't suddenly make you sick and dizzy. So, like squeezing your legs before you change position so the blood stays up in your head. Mast cell activation syndrome. Obviously, there's loads of issues there. Some people can feel like they react to exercise. So it's well known that that is a thing, unfortunately. So it's working out how to find your threshold and how to stay underneath your threshold so you're not making yourself poorly. And then eventually, in time, you might find that your threshold increases, or it may not, but at least you know which point that you can stick at. Fibromyalgia, learning that movement can help you feel better and can reduce pain. And that helps with fibromyalgia. There's a lot of nice fluid movement and flowing movement that soothes the brain, so it calms down the pain signals. ME, I work with lots of people with ME, and that is learning very similar to MCAS, is learning to stay below your threshold, because it can be super dangerous to exercise if you've got ME or CFS. So we're working with people to just try and rein everything back. And also neurodivergence. So we've got lots and lots of people with autism and ADHD who can find exercise classes too stimulating. And that can be absolutely exhausting. And then, so they're not benefiting from the exercise because it's just too much for them. And so there's ways of, building up slowly, easing yourself in, turning the light down on your computer, turning the noise down. So there's lots of things that we can do to help people adapt to maximize what they can get out of a fitness class. So yeah, and we do all the breathing and the mindfulness and the grateful for your body. And we tend to have routines that people get used to at the start and the end of a class. So it's like getting your body and brain into the Pilates zone, so the body knows what's coming up, and it kind of eases them in so they feel safe. And then we will do other moves during the class as well. So there's lots of things that we do that are not very typical of something someone experience in a fitness class. It's very different, but it's
Absolutely.
really lovely. I love it.
Oh, yes, it's amazing what you're doing there because I think one of the key words that you just picked up on there is safety, isn't it? I think, from my perspective and the work that I do with mindfulness and the nervous system, a lot of us living with pain and chronic illness, we have a very overactive nervous system because, we've been through traumatic experiences. We've just been living with hypersensory stimulation from pain for such a long time, and we don't feel safe in our own bodies anymore. And there's that lack of safety that really feeds into the nervous system being in a constant state of fight or flight, which then has massive knock-on effects on our health and well-being. And it's a vicious cycle. And it's made worse by going into environments like gyms and fitness classes where we don't feel safe and we get, shouted at and told we've got to, lose weight or do faster or move in ways that don't work for us. That just adds to that sense of danger that the body is perceiving danger. And that then, is so bad for us when we live with pain and illness. It can make things so much worse. So that routine that you're describing there, where you can exercise and move in a way that feels safe for the body. You can say to the body very gently, we're going to do a little bit of movement now, but it's okay. And, we're all right to do this. And you can do this in a way that is safe for you, and just allow the body to move and to adapt and to adjust and get ready for that and move safely. And it all feels safe. That is just so, so important. It's amazing that you're creating that safe exercise space for people.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it. So I think, there's a lot of people maybe listening to this and thinking, oh, I've tried exercise. I'm really scared of exercising. I just don't believe that it's accessible for me. I just don't think that I can do it. What would you say to them if they're frightened that it might trigger a flare, that they just daren't even take that first step? What would you say to someone feeling that?
Yeah. Well, there's two different things. If someone was going to try with Mobilates, they would get a one-to-one consultation with me first of all. So it's a free consultation, which is where they would get to express all their worries, their challenges with movement, their past, what's happening in their bodies. And they can talk to somebody who gets it. So I understand. I've got qualifications to support this as well, luckily, which is really helpful. And then we can talk about a plan that can ease them in to the classes in a safe way. So that could include adaptations that we discuss in this session. Lots of people are worried about being in 4-point kneeling, and I'm going to make them do that in a class. And there's a lot of reassurance in these one-to-one sessions as well. And also goals. It's nice to have a little goal in your mind that's a safe goal. It's something simple like, I would really like to be able to go shopping with my friends, or I would like to sit down on the floor with my children and play with them and know that I'll be able to get back up again. Or I would like to occasionally be fit enough to cook the dinner. And these are little things that you can work towards that are safe. They're not like smart targets that are going to scare you and feel like loads of pressure. They're just gentle things that are something that's going to make them feel happy in the end. So that's the Mobilates way. And it's a way of kind of saying, even setting your alarm so you come to a class for 5 minutes and the alarm tells you when to stop, because a lot of us have this habit of, we're really enjoying it, so we're going to keep going, or I am really going to push myself, but sometimes it's better to step back and do a tiny bit. For anyone who's wanting to join any exercise program at all, it's finding a teacher who is ready and willing to listen to you, and who's going to give you that time before you even get into the class, where you can discuss what your apprehensions are, and what your needs are, because your needs are really important, and find out how that person is going to support you with your needs and keep you safe. So wherever you go, I mean, you will see exercise classes on telly and everybody's doing the same thing in uniform, all in sync, and it's beautiful. It looks amazing. And Joseph Pilates taught like that as well. You could see hundreds and hundreds of people all doing the same move vigorously and in sync. But knowing that you can do what you need to do that is good for your body, I think is a really powerful thing. So knowing that if everybody else is standing and you've decided to sit down to do some moves, or you've joined the class from bed, but we're doing a traditional Pilates class, but you know that you're going to be safe and you'll be able to do some movement that will feel good for you. It's finding a class where you feel like you can basically do you, what is good for you, but ideally having a teacher who has the knowledge and experience and the compassion who can help you work with that.
Absolutely, that's great advice. And I think if you don't get that vibe from them, it's, you have, yeah, exactly, run. That is that is it's okay to do that. You have that right of advocacy and choice, that you don't have to just think, oh, well, this is how exercise is, and I've just got to step up to the mark and make it work. It's, can you work with this teacher? Do they feel supportive? Are they listening to your needs? Are they talking about adaptations? Can they explain how they will adapt the exercises for you? And will they make you feel welcome in that space? And if the vibe that you're getting is no, then walk away and find a different teacher. That's the bottom line, isn't it? Interview lots of different teachers until you find the one that is the right fit for you. Yeah,
Definitely.
I
Yeah.
think that's great advice, because I think, there is a danger for us with exercise. It's not, excessive to say that exercise can be dangerous for people who live with chronic conditions and pain, and particularly, as you've said, ME, fatigue. There's a history there, isn't there, that has made a lot of people very nervous, very frightened of exercise, and having had really awful experiences of being forced into graded exercise therapy that has, caused them harm. It's understandable that people feel, nervous about exercise and maybe feel that it's not for them, because there is that real danger, isn't there, that we have to really look after ourselves and move in the right way.
Yeah, definitely. But it's really promising that there are more and more teachers out there who are willing to listen and give you that time and are willing to adapt. And there's so much more learning out there for instructors to find out how to adapt and how to look after people with particular conditions. So it's really promising, and things are getting better, most definitely. But Mobilates is clearly the best.
Obviously, we
And
can
we do
all
it
see that.
online, which is even better.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, online classes are a great option, aren't they, for people who are struggling? As you said, you don't have to even get out of bed if you don't need to. And there is nothing wrong with that. We have this voice in our heads, don't we? Sometimes it's a barrier that says, can't exercise in bed, that's not doing it properly, and what will people think? Absolutely nothing wrong with that, because that block, that barrier, is going to stop you from making that first step. And if you can only do it from bed, do it in bed. That is the best thing to do, isn't it? Start where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the fact that you've blended all of these different types of exercise modalities together. And like you say, you're taking the best bits from them, because I think it isn't a one size fits all, is it? It's not going to be that Pilates is going to help everybody with chronic illness, or that yoga that's often given out as a kind of prescription for everyone, isn't it? You should do yoga and you'd be fine. And for a lot of people, it helps. A lot of people, it doesn't suit them. And
Mm.
obviously, you've come to that kind of place where you have a variety of different things. Do you feel that it's important for people to try different types of exercise, to experiment with different things? Are there different types of exercise that tend to be better or worse for us with chronic illness and pain?
Um, I think the most important thing is to find something that you actually enjoy, because then you can work that into, it's not something you have to do, it's something that you want to do. And then that can help you with consistency moving forward and sustainability. So keep it going. Um, and there are exercises that are better for certain people. I mean, yoga is known not to be amazing for people with hypermobility, but it depends how it's taught. So we've got a yoga teacher who's the most inclusive, wonderful person in the world, and she's done loads of learning on hypermobility. And her classes are just so special and relaxed, and it's like meditation in movement. So, and then we've got Qigong, and some people really struggle to stand for long periods of time. But she has adapted so people can sit to do the moves or do a bit of both. And so there are things that are better and are worse, but actually it's more about finding something that just feels good for you. And there are things out there. I mean, some of our members have gone on to do wheelchair rugby and skiing, accessible skiing, or they've gone and joined a fitness class in the local community because they feel confident and strong enough now to do it. And these, to me, are all success stories. So, I mean, we've got different levels of classes. So some of our classes are really gentle and slow, and some are higher paced and faster, and more challenging. So there is chance to progress within Mobilates, but also for me, a positive success story would be someone leaving Mobilates to go and do something else because they have gained the skills they need for that. So yeah, enjoyability and joy, just total top factors.
Absolutely. If it's bringing that joy into your life, it's like a double whammy, isn't it? You're getting the benefit of the movement and you're also getting those lovely endorphins and all those positive neurotransmitters and that lovely joy that we so lack in, our lives sometimes when we live with pain and illness.
Yeah,
Opportunities for joy are few and far between in a lot of people's lives, aren't they? So as you say, finding something that you enjoy is brilliant. Yes. And it all comes down again to just finding the right teacher, doesn't it, really? Like you've said. I mean, for me, my yoga teacher was the first person who picked up that I had hypermobility. So it's the right person, isn't it, who knows what they're doing that
yeah,
makes all the difference. Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely. And yes, I love that. I one day I'm going to be dancing. I want to get to the point where I can do some dancing. I'd love that.
Yeah, there you go. That is your goal because that would bring joy to your life, wouldn't it?
It would, absolutely. Yeah, it would. And I love the idea of goals that are real world goals. It's not that we're going to do, 50 repetitions and then 60 and then, we're going to get to 100. It's, I want to be able to go dancing. I want to be able to go to the shops. I want to be able to cook a meal. Those are real goals, aren't they? That actually improve people's quality of life. It's
Yeah,
not some, nebulous thing that you're just doing in a gym for the sake of it. It's
yeah,
actually changing people's lives when you have those goals. And I think that helps with motivation, doesn't it? Because it's not just, oh, I've got to do another 10 of these today or another 20. It's, this is going to actually change my life and enable me to do something that I want to do. You can see the purpose of doing it, can't you, like that?
definitely. And that so
Yeah.
many of us have been given physio exercises too. And do we do them? We know they're
Yeah.
really good for us. But even that, I mean, it's when you were talking about repetitions and things, and we've been given these things that we've got to repeat over and over again every day. And I think finding something that you really enjoy, where there's a sense of community, so you feel part of something, so you are amongst like-minded, like-bodied people who are encouraging you and supporting you and get it and are constantly cheering you on. It's just so super powerful. And so much more beneficial. And now I'm getting brain fog, and there was something else I was going to say, but it's gone. So,
Oh, bless you. Yeah. Well, we understand that here.
oh,
That's fine. If I get it too, then we're doomed. There'll be no questions or answers.
yeah, that's so funny. It'll come back to me and maybe like, oh,
Well, feel free to add at any point. But I was going to say, just, finally, if there are people listening who have always felt that exercise is not for them, maybe they're nervous, maybe they feel excluded, what would be your top tip? What's one thing that you can leave them with to say, something that they can maybe think about?
God, there's loads, and I've probably talked about it all already. A top tip. The top tip would be to find somebody like them who is teaching. I think that's so much easier. So somebody who's got the knowledge of what you've gone through, and there's loads of people out there who are teaching, yoga for ME or, you know, Pilates for EDS. There's all sorts of things that you can find out there. So it's finding that person that you feel like you can relate to and you know that they're relating to you as well. I think that would be the first kind of step to help you get that confidence to begin.
And if they're not sure that they should even be bothering with exercise, if they're not keen to even think about exercise for themselves, is there a piece of advice that you would give them?
That's okay. You don't have to. So even if a doctor's telling you you have got to exercise, if everything in you is telling you that this is not the right time for you to exercise, that's okay. Don't. Okay? It'll happen when you feel ready for it to happen. So please don't add that additional pressure, that feeling of I must, I should, I could, all that. It's not going to help you. The feeling of relaxing and doing what is nurturing for you at the time, what you want to be doing, is so much more healing. And then in time, as and when you feel like you're ready, then, you know, you will find something that's right for you. I know that's probably not what a lot of people would say, but actually, I'm
Well,
like,
I
don't do
think
it.
it's exactly the right thing to say. I absolutely love it. And I think that that's exactly what makes you special and unique, is that you recognize that and are giving that message that, listening to your body and doing what's right for you is far more important than some set schedule that you've got to follow and some exercise regime that is meant to be, right or
Yeah.
wrong.
And
I
we're
love
always
that.
going to be here. We're not going anywhere. So there's always going to be something that you can do when the time's right for you.
Absolutely. You're not allowed to go anywhere because what you're doing is so amazing and so needed that you're
I've
not
got an
allowed.
amazing team of amazing teachers. So, we're ready. We're ready. Come and join us now.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Just go for the community, even if you don't want to exercise. I
Yeah,
think there's
exactly.
something to be said for that, isn't there? I mean, I know a lot of the exercise teachers that I've worked with say, just sit and listen and watch. That's okay too, because it's all in the neural pathways are all working in your brain. And that can be, if you really can't do the movements, it's okay to just sit and watch, isn't it?
100%. Yeah, I encourage you to bring a cup of tea and sit there and watch, and then at least you feel like you're doing something.
Yeah,
And if all you
absolutely.
do is laugh, then you're activating your abdominal muscles. So what more could you want? You're sorted.
I love that. Yeah, I love it. Amazing. Yeah. So if people are interested in Mobilates, if they want to get in touch with you, where do they find you?
Website, so mobilates.com, and there's a big button there that says start here, which is where you can book a one-to-one with me. And we would get you started. We'd work out what kind of classes you might like to try, and talk through a gentle plan for you.
Oh, I'll pop all the details underneath the video as well with the website link. So it has been an absolute joy to chat to you, Leanne. Thank you so much for your time and for everything that you're doing. I think it's amazing, and I've really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. It's been really lovely.